As autoimmune slowly took my health away, I stayed positive. Except every few months, my body would lose another function. My mind would spiral into negativity. Luckily, the deeper mindset work that I've been doing for years got me out of that funk and back into a positive state so I could start coming back into life again. Yet, the people who come to me to come see me, they can't. But I believe it's the foundation to reversing disease. They start saying things like they're spiritually open and I'm coming from love, and which is a great positive mindset and very healing. But their actions are completely opposite of someone who's on a healing path. They can't see what's with their positive mindset is that is fueling their disease, that they're trapped and they don't even know it. So, how do you recognize this trap when you think you're being positive? How do you actually change your mindset so you can start healing? And how do you actually get to a point where you can start seeing proof your body is beginning to reverse your disease and not just mentally feeling good like it's getting better? I mean, really getting better. Well, before you can change, you need to recognize if you're trapped in a positive mindset. And what I've witnessed in my clients is that once you open this trap, your body will begin to open up to healing. But how do you do that? So I noticed there's two types of mindsets, and they each have something a little bit different to each of them. And staying positive is one of them. When you're raging or saying something opposite of how you feel, and or even standing up for what's right. So I'll give you a couple of stories. Um, for someone that was saying positive things, they were in a positive mindset. So I'll tell you about a breakup. So a couple came to me, and they're going through a bit of a breakup. They weren't overly happy. What was happening is one person had mind of a story being made up in their mind, and they were thinking, well, so and so did this, I saw this, I believe this, and I asked them, is this true? And they said, yeah, it's true. But how do you know? Because I know. I see it in my mind. I can feel it. I know it to my core. I'm able to see things from spirit. And I said, but you don't know if your ego is actually making up that story or not. And we're putting faith and belief into something that's being made up in our mind. But while they're spiraling, they say, you know what? I just wish them love and peace. I want them to just go and be happy. Go get yourself fixed. Whatever you need to do, just be happy. And that was from one side of person. And then I'd receive a message from the other person that says, you know what? I just want them to be from love and I want them to be peaceful and happy too. That's all I want for them. But you know what? I was thinking, they did this, they did that, they did this, and I'm just staying general here without giving way too much because there's more than one couple that comes to me like this. And they start saying, I bet they are this way because of all these things. And I asked them, could it be that you're just making up a story now in your mind too? And here you are, you thought they were crazy, but you're making up something in your mind and you're sharing something with them. And you're sharing it with me now and you're spreading this stuff. So you say, I wish to come from love and peace, but your actions don't hold that. So even though we're saying that, I'm in love. I just want them good. But you know what? I think they're a little bit off. And let me share that with my friends. Like, yeah, you know what? And they're going to validate you because they're your friends. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, it's good that you're coming from love, but that's not love. That's a complete trap. And you might be thinking, well, I'm not like that. That's not me. But you are truly, truly not there unless something's happening. How do you feel when you're saying this to somebody? Do you feel vindicated? Do you feel stronger? Do you feel joy and love in your heart? Are you beaming with love? So ultimately, unless you're honestly speaking from your heart, you're not speaking from a positive mindset. You're not speaking truly from love. You're speaking from a place that's a trap. It might feel good because you're satisfying your ego, but you're not necessarily speaking from your heart. And the question is, how do you break that trap? Well, ultimately, notice how you're feeling when you speak from your mind, from when you speak from your heart, and not necessarily a busy mind. And what I'm about to share is, what might actually work for me is not going to work for everybody else. Rita and I are going to share both of our experiences here. And regardless, once you know you're not speaking from your heart, you're speaking from ego, and we can do something about it. So start with the first step. After you say something, how does it feel? And think about the last time you might have told a lie and you said something about somebody. How did that make you feel? Even if you were coming from a place of love and you're being in love, how did it make you feel truly? And then think about when you did something nice for someone else. You said, I just selflessly, you said, what, I'm thinking about this person. I'm caring about them. I just going to do something for them. Here is $1 that you might give to a homeless person. Here is something that you're just giving away. And you walk away, you're feeling good. They're feeling good. And you're multiplying and creating energy. But when you start attacking somebody or start thinking about one person or talking a different way about somebody else, we are creating a problem. So it's recognizing that problem first, and now we can fix it. Now the question is this problem of someone else? Am I being triggered by somebody else? Is this something with it? So there's two ways of dealing with it. And one of the things when I find that I'm getting trapped is my mind gets very busy, or I start thinking I'm going into fear. I don't know, Rita, how do you know that you are maybe spiraling or going into some sort of trap like this?
I think for me, it's the overthinking it, or just the constant thinking of the problem. So whatever just occurred, right? So something has triggered me or upset me, and I find like I'm just in my head, right? So I'm just like, I'm like you were talking about before. I'm like making up stories in my head, and I'm like responding to something that they might say to me, and I might say to them, and I'm creating this like fantasy that is not real. It's not real. And and so for me, it's like when I catch myself, you know, it, Pamela. I'm going to bring up Pamela's thing here for a second, but um, I feel like it's not wrong to feel what you're feeling. Like if I'm angry, I'm angry. I recognize that, right? But I also don't think I can just snap my fingers or say like, oh, all is well, and then my anger goes away. My anger might be there for a day, it might be there for 3 days. I don't know, but as long as I know it's there, I can tune into it and say, are you still angry? Yes, I'm still angry because I'm still thinking the thoughts, and I'm okay with it. I sit with it because it's like it's something that needs to be worked through. It's not going to just disappear. It'd be nice if it would just go away, right? I've yelled, I've screamed, I've written things out, whatever it is that I've done to try and help me get through it. But sometimes you just need to go through it because there's something you need to learn from it, or something that is meant, something's there for you to work on. So I don't. That's how I would know I'm in like this trap, because it's just overthinking and making up stories in my head.
Yeah. So we're thinking about the stories are being made up in our head, which is a bit of a loop. So now we got two ways of dealing with it. But first was identifying its trigger. And Pamela just said, I like it. Well, what about anger? What do you a need to express to somebody? But do you? Why are you being triggered? So there's the first question. Why am I being triggered? Is this because somebody did that to me? Or maybe it's being done for me when we think about health at a greater aspect of things, that anytime that there is disease in the body, it is energy. And if we believe in spirits and guides and all these other energies that surround us, even if you don't, because according to the Heart Math Institute, energy is within the body and it can move within the body. So we need to move it. And Rita just mentioned a way of dealing with it. She deals with it by observing it, sitting with it, and the other is walking away. But how do you actually do these? Either. So if we think about dealing with it, we want to sit with it, and I use two methods. One method is I just go into a quiet state. I'm not even talking about meditation. I just take a breath and I just get myself a little bit quiet. And I'll sit with this thought, this person, and I'll ask it two questions. And the first question is, what do I believe to be true about this event? And I'll sit with it. What do I believe? And answers will come in. Well, I believe that this person hurt me. I believe that they did this on purpose. I believe that they are ruining my life. I believe. And that's going to stir up certain emotions, and then sit with that emotion and feel it. And even as I say that, even just the idea of I believe, I can feel some energy build up in me, which is a little bit negative. So now, sitting with that energy, I ask the next question, but what is the actual truth about this? Now, you can't think this. It's got to come from your heart. It's got to come from your spirit. You got to come from the truth. What is the truth of this belief that I believe is true? And oftentimes that's where love comes in, or truth. And that's when I'll see the truth. It's like, you know what? They're not mad at you. They're not doing this to you. They're hurt. They lashed out. They didn't do this on purpose. They're going through something. They didn't mean to do this for you. It's happened. Maybe this is coming from a higher place. And I might feel the truth coming in and say, well, this is being done for you so you can see that not everything is about you. Oh, and even just in that little bit of knowing, that's like, okay, I have an answer to this query that's in my mind, because that's what our ego does. Our ego mind makes up things, it makes up stories, and it's going to spiral and spiral until it gets an answer. So once you have that idea belief and you have that idea truth, the truth will then work it out naturally. So you don't have to do anything else. It's just going to work itself out. Now you can take it further, ask it questions. Well, what do I need to know about this? How about the love? Now, asking a question about what do I need to know is ego. But then you can ask, who do you need love from? What do you need to satisfy you? Talking to that energy and see what comes up. And then just work through it that way. But if that doesn't work, I find if I just get truly exhausted, I need to do a second thing. And Rita already said this. Walk away. When you just don't want to deal with it, you know what? I am truly done with all this junk. I don't want to deal with it at all. I just want to walk away. I'm done with it completely. And I just don't want to do it anymore. So then how do you walk away? Well, again, I'd sit there. I'll see the other person in my mind. And if I'm truly done with them, I'll say, you know what? I give back to what's yours. I take back what's mine, and I let you go with love and grace. And that's just something that I say. I don't know if Rita would say, but that's what I say. And I'll see them walk away. I'll see them walking away. And when I see that, I truly let it go, that I don't got to think about it again. And that's what ends up helping me the most. Rita, how about you? What is your idea of walking away?
I think I think what I do is I just know that I'll use an example that I'm thinking of where it was like anger towards someone, which came as a little bit of a shock. And then, so at first it's, it's anger, it's the spiraling, the story, and then the, that kind of thing. But then I get to a point where it's like nothing's being resolved by me being angry. So I have to recognize that I'm angry. And then what I do is I just do that. Like, I am aware I'm feeling anger right now, and I let it go. I'll go do something. For me, usually it's like outside. So I'm either like walking dogs, or playing in the garden, or doing something. And sometimes that can help me, like, just not think about it anymore, but just be okay with the fact that I'm angry right now, and that's okay. And so for me, it's just being aware and just kind of, if I don't get an answer or I don't have anything that is going to solve the problem per se, then I let it be. I'm just, like you said, send it, I send them love and light, and, and I wish them well. But it doesn't mean my anger goes away just by doing that. Might go away for a little bit, and then, it kind of ebbs and flows, and then it might creep back into my mind a little bit, months later or something. And it's like, oh, it's still there. So it still needs to be dealt with. But for me, it's just being aware of, recognizing, and being okay with whatever it is I'm feeling, right? As opposed to trying to fix it. Sometimes it's not a fix. Sometimes it's just me being okay with what's happening, and send them light, send me light, right? And just whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's lessons for both sides, right?
Yeah.
I heard a saying once, I apologize in advance, but we're going to be an asshole in somebody's story, right? We have friends that love us. We have, people around us that love us, but there's going to be that one person where we're the asshole. So it's like, right? And we have people in our lives that we might think the same thing, but they have a bunch of people around them that love them. So it's just, for me, it's just like, okay, it's either the way that the lesson is being sent to me is just through that particular person. And that's how I view it. And I try my best. I just, if I'm still angry, I'm still angry. If I'm aware of it, then I'm okay with it. I let it be. You're allowed to be angry, right? I don't need to do anything with it.
Yeah. So I'm seeing Steph's here. If I'm angry, I can't wish them well. Yeah, I totally get that. And think about that anger. When that anger, even just thinking about the word anger, think about your body right now. And when it specifically comes to healing, especially when it comes down to autoimmune or something serious, there's definitely a lot of emotions to clear out. And if we think about that anger, if we've dealt with it or let it go or forget about it, if you just forget about it and not deal with it, at least in that moment, that's when disease is going to continue to stay in the body. It's going to grow. But when we think about being able to at least process it in that moment, taking a minute to deal with it, to observe it, to understand it, to at least see it from their perspective. And that's what I have to always do is see it from their perspective. If I can see a problem from someone else's perspective, I want to ask them, why are they going through this? Why are they saying this? Why do they make me angry? And I'm being made angry because of the trigger, but they're having something there. So it's being able to deal with that energy. But ultimately, it comes down to letting go of the ego. It's the ego mind that's holding on to it. It's the ego that's spiraling it, that's looking at it from different angles, that's processing it. But understanding it through observation is very different. And once you are able to let go from the ego side, you end up moving closer to the truth. And this is ultimately all about surrendering. You are surrendering to this process. But then the question is, how does this translate into physical healing? Not just feeling good in that moment. Well, you got to let go even more. You truly have to go into a state of surrendering. And I didn't realize this, or it became more evident when Rita and I were in our house. And when we were there and this illness first came on, I was not enjoying my business anymore. The business that I had, it was great. It served us well, paid for our house, paid for all our good things. But I was kind of getting sick of it. I was getting snappy at my clients. And I decided to sell the business. I just felt I got to let go of this. And that was my first step. Years later, as my body continued to get worse, Rita and I got to a point where we feel we got to sell the house, even though my body was still getting worse. But we felt we needed to sell the house. So we sold the house. It was time. We wanted to do it for years, but we finally sold the house. And then we stayed with family for a few months. But we knew that was just a stepping stone in order to get to Florida. In that process, my body got even worse. It got so sick, so tired, I really couldn't leave the bed. But I knew we just needed to get to Florida. So we asked a friend to help us, and I got to Florida. It wasn't until we get to Florida, I got into the south and the sun, used all the other things that came to me through higher consciousness, that's when my body began to change. But it was because of that process of surrendering to get into Florida. And now that then we were in Florida, we think, well, we don't have a house to live in. Well, what are we going to do? It's like, well, it's all going to work out. So we surrendered to that process. And then Rita found this place back in Canada. And now we're in Canada. And now we're thinking, well, what's happening here? Well, the funny part is that while we were in Florida, the place that we're staying at was so noisy, so busy, so loud, so popular with people that we ended up getting used to the noise because we were being triggered by the noise, by the car honking, by all the people that were just belligerent and not really kind about the environment and throwing things away and not having recycling. All these things bugged us. But now that we're in St. Thomas, all those experiences that we dealt with there, we're seeing it here in Canada. And in the place that we're staying, we're close to a downtown, and it has all those same aspects. It has all the noise, all the things that bugged us, but now it doesn't bother us at all because it's such a smaller state. But if we just went from our last home to here, we would have been pretty angry about this. So we surrendered. And now we just think, what's next for us? What do we got to do? And next, it's getting back to Florida for the winter. That is the process. So us letting go, going through this process is surrendering to the state. Now, Rita, when you did this, did you have to do anything in order to, you had to surrender, go into meditation? What did you have to do just to know that we had to get to Florida, that we had to get to here, that we got to go back to the south?
I think for me, the answers always come when I just surrender, I guess, using your word, just let it go, right? Because I'm not solving anything. So I'm just gonna focus on what I love doing, right? Maybe it's drawing, maybe it's this, maybe it's cooking. I'm just gonna continue to do what I love doing. And I think by doing that and just focusing on what I love to do, sometimes I get, I'll call it answers. It's just a thought for me. It's just like a thought process. It's like I might get this thought like, oh, okay, well then that's why that's happening, or that's why that happened, or that was I should have learned from that, right? So for me, it's just getting out of the mind and just go into joy. Just go and do what makes you happy. That's my process, basically.
Yeah. And that is something that we've both done, is going into joy. So what is giving you joy? So we say, Steph just said this about changing your focus. Yeah, but it's also, it is that. And it's what we're describing is following your passion. What is bringing you joy in that moment? What is bringing you happiness? And it could be anything. And maybe it's even going out and breaking a bunch of glasses. Maybe it is going to feel better after you yell at somebody. But are you really going to feel better yelling at somebody and attacking somebody else? That when you attack somebody else or yell at somebody or break something, it's not necessarily dealing with the problem. It's something very short. So following your passion, what that does for you is raises your vibrations. By raising your vibrations, you end up attracting certain things. You end up bringing things towards you. But ultimately, we are surrendering to the universe. We're surrendering to the next step. We're surrendering to the next moment. So this comes back into staying in the present moment. If we end up spending time in other thoughts, we're spending time in the past. If we end up worrying about the future, we're worrying about the future. We're not spending in the present moment. So in that moment, when you're angry and all that anger is creating that disease in the body, by being able to either understand it, observe it, that doesn't work, set it go, let it go for a minute, and follow your passion and say, you know what, I just got to go for a walk. I got to get on my scooter. I got to go play with some puppies. I got to do whatever that's just going to bring you joy for a few minutes to get your mind out of it. And it's not just a distraction, because a lot of people will use alcohol as a distraction, drugs as a distraction. That's not the right distraction. It's following your joy. Something's going to raise your vibrations and not reduce your vibrations. So we think about surrendering. Surrendering isn't just following that universe. It's surrendering to everything. And this isn't something that you can just surrender to. We've heard this 1,000 times. We've heard it so many times. But the process is follow your passion. When you have something come up, observe it, deal with it in a way that you are asking that question, the belief question: what do I believe to be true? What is the truth? Observe it. And if you just can't deal with it, see if you can let it go. It's like, I'm sick of this. I just can't deal with it anymore. I'm honestly going to let it go. And once you let it go, it might come back, but now it's not going to come back as harsh. And that isn't going to sit as heavy with you. But as you continue to follow the process, follow your passion, follow your joy, something will happen. And Pamela's bringing up a great point here. She says, I think when you realize ego's job is protecting you, ask yourself, what is making you feel threatened? And yes, ego is, I've always described it as a teenage parent. So a teenage parent who's has their first kid is thinking about, I know how to be a parent. I can do all this. I know it's best. So they end up being more of a helicopter parent. And they get so worried about doing a good job that they end up restricting their kid from doing things. They end up holding them back, and they end up holding themselves back out of fear. I think, Rita, you said this once with one of your clients, and the chicken soup, how they had to feed them chicken soup. Do you remember that one?
I think it was juice. So this mom came to me with her adult son. She was very worried about him. He was not well, and she thought somebody was hurting him in some way. And so she was, very much trying to protect him and doing everything she thought was best for him, right? Like cooking his food and juicing for him and bringing him, making sure he's taken care of. And then I said to her, but so when you're presenting this food, it was juice at the time, but like juicing. So you're presenting this, you're making the juice, right? So again, your intention is going into whatever you're making. So you're preparing this juice, and it's like, how do you prepare it? You prepare it like, oh my God, I hope you don't die. And then you're juicing, and then you present this juice to your son, and you say, oh, here's some juice. It's so good for you. But in your mind, you're thinking, I hope you don't die. Like, what is that? And she just looked at me when I said that to her, because she had not connected that that's what she was doing. She's trying, she loves her son, obviously. She wants the best for him, and she's preparing, doing what she can for him. But her intention going into it, and the intention to him is having that negative kind of fear, or having that fear. And so, when she kind of resisted that when I first said it, and then she kind of got it. Like, oh yes, that is what I'm doing. Here, have this juice, but don't die. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there we go. It's our intention is letting go. But when we hold all these things within us, not only are we making the people sick around us, we're making ourselves sick. And this process of letting go isn't something that happens overnight. Surrendering didn't just mean trusting the universe, trusting our next steps, trusting the synchronicity. It meant actually staying in that present moment and letting go of it. But it also meant surrendering to the people around us too. And that's what changed in my healing, going from being stuck in bed to being able to move again. I didn't just surrender to the universe. I didn't just surrender to the next step. It meant surrendering to the people around me. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next video, where we're going to show you exactly who that we need to surrender to. Yeah, that's our process. Anyways, we do got a couple comments here. I think we dealt with most of them, but Pamela says, it sounds like you have to, sorry. Sounds like you have to always be aware of frequency. Yeah, that's if that's the word that works for you, frequency. Understanding, and these words, they're just words. Some people resonate with frequency, some people resonate with God, with universe, synchronicity. It's all true, but it is staying in that present moment and understanding. I don't know, Rita, do you want to add on to that? Perfect.
No, I think you got it. Yeah, I like the comment about being in that mindset, that frequency, because it's very easy to not be there, right? It's very easy to get angry in the moment of something, and yeah, I think just awareness is a huge word for me. It's just being aware.
Yeah, and that's the practice in all this. It's that it is practicing awareness. No one is born this spiritually aware. Maybe some of the younger people are, but ultimately this is what we're building into. What I mean is what you're thinking to be aware of all the time. I'm that would be great. I would love it if I could do that, to be aware all the time, but it's just not. It's to be in that meditative flow state. Maybe that's the goal, and maybe when you finally reach that, you are ascended and you are Yogananda, you're Gandhi. You've made yourself to be in that spiritually open self. But that's not. I can't do that, and I'm still healing, and I can't do that. So, what is it? Well, at least to be aware when you're not feeling joy, when you're not feeling a high vibration, even if you're feeling neutral, hey, that's great. But if you're being triggered or being brought down, okay, when I'm being brought down, that's when, okay, now I got to be aware, because I'm not feeling really good, or I'm not feeling just neutral. I'm feeling low now. What are we going to do in that low state? Everything we just talked about. That's my thinking and the way I deal with this, and it's been working because I'm reversing this incurable disease that said this, and all this is just my observations that we're beginning to see as a couple, that we're seeing. I don't know, Rita, do you want to add on that?
I like what you say, and I think, Pamela, you're right. It's to be aware all the time, I guess, is a difficult place to be, because we're living life, I guess, right? I had thought of something to say, and then it escaped my memory. Maybe it'll come back, but yes.
Awesome. So following our frequency, following that joy, but if it's going down, we want to observe it. If it's too much and you're able to let it go, let it go. I let it go when I'm sick with it, and when I'm done with it, I'm done with it. I'm walking away. And I did that when I was smoking cannabis. When I was doing medical cannabis, I found it was interfering with my spiritual meditations, and I just didn't feel high enough. It's like, oh, I'm just done with this, and I let it go. I put it in a drawer, and that's been years. I haven't touched it again. But in the moment, it helped me. So being aware of how you're feeling, notice when you're feeling not that great, acting on it is the ultimate surrender. That is the practice. That's the long term. And again, surrendering to the people around you is what we're going to talk about next video. Rita, is there anything you want to say before we say goodbye here?
I think what I was going to say is sometimes things come up that really isn't your stuff either. So sometimes we're just picking up other people's stuff, and that triggers us in one way or just makes us feel off. And I feel that sometimes because there's really no reason for, sometimes there's feelings that are going on and it's like, well, there's nothing happening right now for me to be feeling this, right? So sometimes I would say also recognize that sometimes you're feeling things around you, whether it's environment or other people or just what's going on around you. So also just, and that, I guess that goes back to awareness too, but also just, I don't know. For me, I'm always checking in, like tuning, like checking in, like what's going on. Is this for me? Is this, is this something I'm supposed to work with? So I don't know if that resonates with anybody, but yeah, sometimes it's stuff around us that we're just being affected by, and it's not necessarily us that need to do something about it. It's just recognizing that maybe there's somebody around me that's struggling, and then I'm picking up on that struggle, right? And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So everything we've talked about today is moving to a place of healing. It's not necessarily about how well you do it, but it is a matter about being consistent with it and spending time. Because remember, this body is not who you are. This body is an animal. It's a child that we are being allowed to use, because once we're done with it, our spirit leaves and this body goes back to earth. But this body allows you to abuse it so much that we can do anything to it. So, but it can be a little bit too much like a filter in a fish tank at the end of a cigarette butt. It gets dirty and it needs to be cleaned. It needs a little bit of support. So supporting your body, supporting yourself, staying with yourself, understanding your ego is not you either. That is an aspect of this world as well. Who you are is a spirit of universal light, a soul. And that's the ultimate goal. As we continue to move our vibrations up, as Reed and I've done that, this body's beginning to heal. And like we're talking about an incurable, quote unquote, incurable condition. So if I can do it, anyone can, and we can all do it. And I hope you do go through this. I want to thank you all for being here today and being part of this. Let's say goodbye. Thanks, everybody. Next week we'll talk about the next part of surrendering, and that's to more than just what we just talked about today. It's to the people around us. So talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.